After UFC 300, everybody has been talking about Max Holloway getting a title shot either against Ilia Topuria or against Islam Makhachev. Today I'm going to sit here, I'm going to kind of break the fights down because I'm wondering, and I would love to know what you guys think in the comment section, is do you think Max Holloway can beat Ilia Topuria? And do you think Max Holloway can beat Islam Makhachev? Because those two fights seem like something that's very promising for him, because let's be honest here, there's no chance that Dustin Poirier ends up beating Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev's going to have the belt. That's going to be an option for Max Holloway, but we're going to talk about it in just a second. Before we get into it, I do want to say, hello everybody, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with too many YouTube channels. Let's break down this fight. So I want to start off with Ilia Topuria, because Ilia Topuria, and what everybody's been talking about is he has officially had his aura crushed. I'm not looking too much into that personally. Yeah, could he have been scared by that performance? Perhaps. But I look at Ilia Topuria, I don't think the dude's scared of Max Holloway. If the dude wasn't scared to go in there and take Volkanovski's head off, I don't think he's going to be scared of Max Holloway personally, even no matter how good of a performance that is. It's very possible that Ilia Topuria was paying attention to something or just didn't really know, because if I'm not mistaken, English isn't his first language. Regardless, I'm not looking too in-depth to that screenshot or the little small clip of him looking a little bit scared. I'm not looking into that at all. I don't think Ilia Topuria is scared of Max Holloway, especially the UFC featherweight champion being scared of Max Holloway. People like us should be scared to fight Max Holloway, but I don't know about Ilia Topuria. Anyways, spend too much time talking about that. Max Holloway had a breakthrough performance, and Max Holloway looked like he is coming into a brand new version of himself in his prime. His footwork was on point, his shots were on point, range was on point. Every single time we see Holloway fight, he's adding new skills to his tool set. The dude is legitimately becoming one of the greatest fighters of all time. But can he beat Ilia Topuria? What happens when these two match up? We know that Ilia Topuria can certainly explore the ground option with Max Holloway, but Max Holloway's shown that he does have pretty good ground defense, especially in recent times. I know it's not the best option to really point out, but Yair Rodriguez is the fight that comes to mind when Max Holloway, like the recent times Max Holloway at least, was forced to grapple. But other than that, if Ilia wanted to grapple with Max Holloway, I feel like he'd have a rough time getting to him, because Max Holloway is so good at pitter-pattering you at range, making Ilia eat volume strikes. So on the other hand though, Ilia certainly has better defense than a lot of these fighters that we have seen take on Max Holloway, certainly better than Justin Gaethje. So Ilia won't just be standing there and waiting for Max Holloway to just tee off on him. I would imagine that Ilia Topuria would do a really good job pursuing. And he does have a little bit of a similar build to Volkanovski, which is something to take into consideration when you're fighting Max Holloway, because Max did have that problem when taking on a guy like Volkanovski. He had to change his stance. He had to be extremely heavy on that front leg. Ilia Topuria could certainly explore chopping that down. And I don't know why fighters get away from chopping the legs. Maybe Holloway is just too good at countering, like if you miss your leg kick or he eats the leg kick, doesn't do a lot of checking. If he eats the leg kick, then just comes back with two really hard shots. And Max Holloway, volume, he hits like a truck with that volume, okay? I wholeheartedly believe, and I've said this, I think I've said this in videos. I know I've said it over on X. Go feel free to follow me, by the way, at Clen YouTube. But anyways, I really do believe Max Holloway would school Ilia Topuria. I do. I think that sometimes fighters just have somebody's number, and I think Volkanovski just has Holloway's number. If you guys don't know, I have spent a majority of my life training. I've been out of it the last few years, but I have been training MMA, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. There are certainly guys that sometimes just have your number more often than not. And I've experienced that. I'm sure you've experienced it with any particular sport that you have. Sometimes there's a guy you have problems dealing with. And I think Volkanovski was that guy for Max Holloway. I do believe Volkanovski was better than Max Holloway, but you know what I mean? Max Holloway doesn't get schooled the way that Volkanovski was schooling him. I personally believe that's the case, okay? I know that there's a stylistic approach to that as well, but I believe that to be the majority of the factor why Max Holloway got dominated in those fights, and I do believe that he even lost the second fight. It was a close fight, but I thought he lost. Regardless, that's besides the point. I think Max Holloway is the second best featherweight of all time, Volkanovski being the first. I think that Max Holloway can deal with the striking of Ilia Topuria. If he can have no problems boxing with Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, I feel like he'll have no problem boxing Ilia Topuria. And I understand the power for Dustin Poirier affected Max Holloway. We know that was at a completely different weight on short notice. I don't know how much I want to look into that. I think Max Holloway, if he fought Ilia Topuria, would eat a couple big shots at the beginning of the fight. Ilia Topuria does have really good boxing, but I don't think it's anything that Max Holloway hasn't seen or is prepared for. Max Holloway will be rangy. We've seen him add new tools to his skill set. He's getting better at that spin kick every single time that he fights. He's going to have the options there. He's going to dance around Ilia Topuria. He's going to use his movement. He's going to use his volume, and he's going to show Ilia Topuria something that he hasn't been used to. He could certainly open up the body shots because I remember Bryce Mitchell hit him with a liver shot, I believe it was. That visibly affected Ilia Topuria. Not to do MMA math, but Max Holloway has some very good body shots and has a fantastic, fantastic spin kick. I think Max Holloway would beat Ilia Topuria. I'd love to know what you guys think down below. Now, where the fight gets very interesting for me is the idea of Max Holloway actually getting a title shot against Islam Makhachev. This one's tough because I also believe Islam Makhachev is one of the greatest fighters of all time. He is technically better than Khabib. He just lacks that I'm going to walk forward and kill you kind of thing. But Islam Makhachev definitely he's defensively sound on the feet, underrated striking. I don't think that he has better striking than Max Holloway though. But the problem is Makhachev does such a good job of coming forward, taking you down, having that game plan, executing it perfectly, and I believe he's going to have the strength advantage in there. If he can get Max Holloway down, which I believe he can, I think the option to submit Max Holloway is definitely there. In the striking exchanges, that's a really tough one to say because I see the fight going like this. Islam pursuing Max Holloway. If Ilia Topuria is pursuing Max Holloway, I can see Max Holloway dancing around kind of like he did with Justin Gaethje, picking his shots, doing a great job doing so, but when guys like Khabib and Islam take on their opponents, the takedown and the threat of the submission, the threat of the ground and pound that they bring onto their opponents is so worrying that it changes the opponent's fight style. Justin Gaethje, prime example. The dude was so afraid of the takedowns that it threw him completely off of his game. How is Max Holloway supposed to sit down on his shots? And we know Max Holloway a lot of times likes to get heavy on those legs and really start ripping the volume. I see the threat of Islam's takedown being a problem for Max Holloway, especially, let's say Max Holloway survives the first time against Islam Makhachev. Islam would have done damage. Islam would have been controlling. Islam would have made Max Holloway suffer on the ground. And if that's the case, come out round 2, let's say you survive round 1, then you're having that whole mindset of, oh my God, this guy better not take me down. Okay? That's why the matchup is so interesting to me, because I can see Max Holloway doing a great job at the beginning of the fight. It's just, can he keep that up? Can he keep that up? Because Islam can pursue him. Pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter. Moving out to the side. He was doing a fantastic job against Justin Gaethje circling. But I think it would be only a matter of a time before Islam actually got to him. And we know these Dagestani fighters like to shoot from a million miles away and do a fantastic job at just grabbing your ankle. Like, these guys are so strong. It's fascinating to me. They grab your ankle and you're down. Like, that's all they need, man. They dive from the other side of the cage, grab you, and that's not to say that there's no technique behind their takedowns. I'm saying, like, these guys will do everything they can to get the fight to the ground, and Islam may not even necessarily need to do that because he is very, very technical in his own manner with striking. He outstruck Charles Oliveira. Look what he did to Charles Oliveira. Took him completely off of his game. A lot of people who thought Charles Oliveira was the guy to beat Khabib. No chance. These guys, when they get in there, they make fighters break mentally. But here's the thing. Can you make Max Holloway break mentally? I don't know. I don't know, because we've never seen Max Holloway break mentally, but we've also never seen Max Holloway fight a dominant Sambo wrestler like Islam Makhachev. That's why the matchup is so fascinating to me. If I had to predict that fight, I would have to assume that no matter how the striking exchanges go, there will be a point over the course of 5 rounds that Islam Makhachev will get to Max Holloway's legs, take him down, and submit him. I believe he's too strong. I believe he is too controlling. I believe he is too smothering on the ground. And Max Holloway will not be able to defend it. I just have a hard time seeing, if Max Holloway gets taken down, him making his way up to his feet. I don't see that personally. If fight ever happened, don't get me wrong, I'd be cheering for Max Holloway all day. I actually really like Islam Makhachev. I think that the dude gets way too much hate. I think he's hilarious. I think he's a great champion. Just needs to fight a little bit more. I would cheer for him against Ilia Topuria too. I'm just a big Max Holloway fan, to be honest with you. But that's why I'm so hyped to see these two fights, because Max Holloway is coming into a second prime, or what people are saying, his first prime at this moment. He's getting better every single time we see him. He can win against both fighters. I think he would dominate Ilia Topuria. I think that he's capable of winning against Islam Makhachev, but Islam Makhachev would ultimately get the better of Max Holloway. Could you imagine how badly this video is going to age if Dustin Poirier ends up knocking out Islam Makhachev? Not gonna happen though. There's no way, dude. There's no way. Let me know what you think about both matchups down below. Thank you very much for watching. Check out the video on screen right now if you'd like to continue watching the channel. Take care, everybody.